It's Friday, and you know what that means. It's time for another short term review. And this week, I have the BatleXP G350. And after a week of use, I am left to wonder, can a $40 handheld actually feel premium? Or are you just paying for nostalgia in a box? So let's find the answer to that question and more right after this. Hey fam, Swati tu konkrap, P-Nick here. And first and foremost, as usual, I want to first take this time to thank you for joining me for another video. I know you have a lot of options out there to watch, and I appreciate the time that you take out of your day to watch one of my videos. That said, in case this is your first video, I want to go over the structure of my reviews to make sure you know what's coming. So with my reviews, I have 7 different categories, and each one of those categories are rated 0 to 69. And those categories are the unboxing experience, internals, first impressions, ease of use, customizability, controls, and value. After that, we'll put it all together to give you your final score, along with the top pros and cons of the device, and who should consider it and who should consider skipping it. That said, let's dig in to the first category, the unboxing experience. So as I mentioned in my unboxing video, one of the funny things is the Anbernic box and this box are exactly the same size, same height, same length, same width, everything the same. The difference is, even though this came out this year, the RG35XX Pro, it has last year's design where they had kind of an outline of the device versus the HD image. Most of the devices this year have come out with a glossy image. Interesting, no? Of course, Anbernic says that they aren't the same company officially, but it really makes me wonder because it does match their ideology. Just to kind of show you as well here, on this side, they do include the same style for colors, even on the RG35XX Pro. Same relative style, just a little different. But again, this is last year's style box, but the exact same dimensions. So quite interesting, but that's okay. Whether it's Anbernic or not, we'll find out if it's a good device during this review. That said, the design of the box for $35, $40, you can't really complain. You get an outline of the device on the back of it with some basic specs, which we'll go over here in the internal section. A little bit of a BatleXP logo there, quite interesting. Looks like they tried like scratching look. I don't know. But let's take a look at what's inside the box. Of course, you get your little opaque bag. Inside of your bag, you get your device with a nice little foam protector protecting your device. So in transit, you don't have worrying about it getting dinged up, which is important because you can see my box did get dinged up in transit. Underneath it, you do get very Anbernic USB-A to USB-C charging cable, and you do get a manual that looks very Anbernic as well, with simplified Chinese on one side and English on the other side. Really, that's all you need. Nobody's even going to read that usually, so it's more than you really need. I appreciate that they give that to us. So the unboxing experience is nothing special, but it gets the job done. So I'll give it a slightly above average 38 out of 69. The box is simple enough, but what's inside is what really matters. So let's jump into the internals and see what makes this budget box tick next. And up first, the SoC included in this guy is the Rockchip RK3326. And if in fact this is an Anbernic, this would be the first Anbernic to use a Rockchip SoC, but it is that reliable engine of 1,000 budget handhelds, so it's tried and true. It's not powerful by any means, but it's perfectly tuned for classic 2D games and up to PS1 and some PS2. With that, you get 1 gigabyte of LP DDR3 RAM, which is just enough memory to run the OS and emulators without any issues, but don't expect any multitasking. After all, that's not what it's designed for. This is a dedicated gaming machine. So as far as storage goes, this is going to be different for a lot of people if they're new to the hobby. There is no internal storage on this device. Instead, you get 2 micro SD card slots. With that, you get 1 card slot that's dedicated to internal OS that you're using, which would be the TF1/INT. INT means internal, while you get the second one that is TF2X, which means external. So that would be all of your game ROMs. If you want to have them split up, you can, or you can have them on 1 card if you want. The nice thing about splitting them up is if 1 card fails, the other one is still working. So you could quickly either just put on your ROMs again onto a new card and put it into slot 2, or if your OS card failed, you would be able to just grab a new small, 16 gigabyte card, for example, put the OS on it with more than enough room on it, put that into slot one, and you're back to running your games with no issues. So it's nice that you get that flexibility. I would always recommend putting in two cards, but it's up to you how you would manage your own system. As far as the display, this has a 3.5-inch 4:3 aspect ratio IPS display with a 640 by 480 resolution. It's a sharp screen that's perfect for retro games. While it's not OLED, it's still vibrant and clear for this price point. Again, we're talking under $50, usually 35 to 40 US dollars. As far as the battery power in this device, you have a 3,200 milliamp hour battery, which should give you solid battery life that will easily get you through a long camping trip or a cross-country flight. One thing to keep in mind, as far as connectivity goes, this is offline only. There is no built-in Wi-Fi, there is no built-in Bluetooth, so you'll need to be pure with your intentions and understand that this is not going to be one that you're going to be able to check your email on. You're not going to be able to scrape box art directly on this device. Most of the games they include on it do include at least a game image. I wish they would have at least given us the game box art rather than some random picture of the game, but we deal with what we get, and at least we get some images, so it's still a win in my opinion. Just be prepared, again, for distraction-free gaming. And of course, this OS is running a custom version of Linux. It's lightweight, fast, that's designed specifically for one thing and one thing only, and that's playing games, which a lot of people will like. That way you don't have to worry about a notification coming in on your phone or anything like that. It's just pure and simple. You know what you're doing when you pick this up, and that's going to be gaming. This is a very average offline only chipset, if we're being 100% frank. It's below average in the grand scheme of things of all handhelds, regardless if you're talking $1,000 unit or you're talking one of those units that cost $5. It's right there in the middle. And that's not the worst thing in the world. That said, I have to give it an internal score of 32 out of 69. Now that we know the specs are basic but functional, the real test is how it feels in the hand. So let's talk about first impressions next. Well, again, this is pretty much a clone of the device that was released after it, the Anbernic RG35XX Pro. So we do get that fantastic four-way D-pad that's SNES style, and absolutely one of my favorite D-pads of any handheld available regardless of price point. It's nice and quiet, nice and accurate, so no accidental diagonals, and it feels just good to use while being nice and quiet. And of course, the face buttons are nice and shiny. That's a pro or a con depending on how you look at it. I would have preferred a matte finish to my buttons, but they still feel good to use. They're still nice and quiet and accurate with nice bounce back. So they're not soft and mushy. They actually feel like good console type of buttons. The start, select, and function buttons are all more than sufficient and also nice and quiet, which a lot of other devices in this price point tend to miss on. They will usually make these buttons extremely clicky, where you touch them and it's like echoing in an echo chamber. It's crazy. So I'm glad that they got these nailed down quietly. And of course, you have Switch style analog sticks that have decent range of motion and look nice with a nice little silicone finish on them. And then, of course, you have my favorite style of inline shoulder buttons, because as you can see, they're actually at a slight incline here to make it more natural for you to intentionally press R2 or L2 without accidentally tapping L1 or R1. So I love this setup as far as that goes. And just taking it out of the box, getting your grip on, feels fantastic. I love this feel. So it looks good there. But how about the screen? Well, again, this is a great screen for the price point. Is it going to be beating the RG476H's screen? No, not at all. Is it going to beat either one of the screens on the AYN Thor? No, definitely not. But for $35, this is a really good IPS display, and I'm glad that they've given it to us. Of course, for me, whenever you turn it on, the first negative would be the downward firing speaker. It's still decent quality for the price point, but again, I wish they had made it a forward-facing speaker rather than a downward-firing speaker. But again, you're not going to be blocking it at least, so it's not going to be muffled by your hands, so that's a big win. And I have to admit, this front end that's on this device makes it extremely easy to use for newcomers to the hobby. Tweak's version of ESDE, which is Emulation Station Desktop Edition, welcoming newcomers with something that's very easy to use. So it gives a very good first impression that punches above its price tag, and I'll have to give it a 52 out of 69. It makes a surprisingly good first impression, but does that simplicity make it easy to use? Let's find out. Well, again, the thing is, this device is offline only. It simplifies things. No Wi-Fi or Bluetooth to set up. I think even a Luddite could turn it on and launch a game within 30 seconds. Exiting a game is simple. If you remember, it's start and menu at the same time 2 times. Much easier than an Android or a Windows device for somebody that's new to the technology. It's designed for quick turn on and play, which makes it great for different activities, such as going camping after your dinner and relaxing, or maybe you've finished your lunch at work and you've decided that you want to be able to play a game for the last 15 minutes before you have to go back to work. Again, something you can just quickly turn on and play, and you're going to be very happy with. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's easier than any Android based device or Windows device as it's built for pure, simple gaming. And I'll have to give it a great 56 out of 69. It's easy to pick up and play, but if you're like me and you love to tinker, you have to ask yourself, how easy is it to customize it? Well, let's jump into my favorite category next. Within customizability, we of course have two different topics to go over: hardware customizability and software customizability. Well, the good thing is, for the hardware wise, it has the same shell externally as the RG35XX Pro. So you do get screen protectors on AliExpress, and you do get cases and grips and replacement buttons all on Etsy. So you don't have to worry about that. You'll be to your heart's content. You can make this look like yours as much as you want, thanks to the variety available to you. And as far as software goes, you do have great options. First and foremost, within the OS that's included or the firmware that's included native to the device, you do get the option to change the themes. So you can change how it looks, of course. And of course, you can always curate your own ROMs by taking out the micro SD card, put it in your computer, take off some games that you don't want to use, insert the games you do want to use, and play them. Again, this is a mid spec device, so don't be trying to do anything more than PS1 and some PSP or Dreamcast, because again, you do get some limitations there. But if it's a Nintendo DS or if it's a Game Boy Advance game, you can absolutely put it on there and enjoy it if it's not part of the native packaging without any issues. And as far as other firmwares go, you do at least get PanOS, ArcOS, and MinUI. So you can change how it looks and feels completely. If you want a simplistic black and white type of list view, MinUI is going to have you covered. And if you want something a little bit more modern, something kind of similar but really suits this device, ArcOS has you covered as well. So it gives you great hardware and software modding potential, both inside and outside, for a device, especially at this price point. So I have to give it a well above average score. And when I thought about this, the first score that came to my mind, which is what I usually go with, is 60 out of 69. With great customizability out of the way, we have to talk about the most intriguing part, the controls. So as far as controls go, again, you get the Anbernic-esque SNES style 4-way D-pad. That feels fantastic with no accidental diagonals when you don't want diagonals, but great at hitting those diagonals when you do want to intentionally hit the diagonals. As I mentioned earlier, the face buttons are a bit glossy, and I like that they're quiet. I just wish that they had been matte. But again, that's kind of the look that Anbernic has been wanting to go for a while. So again, it does match that Anbernic aesthetic. But they do feel good in the hand, and they are quiet. The Switch style sticks act as L3 and R3 as you would need for PS1. So I'm glad we do get that. And again, my favorite will always be to have stacked shoulder buttons. That said, I know it's tough on a Game Boy clone, so inline is usually the way we go. And with inline, we get a perfect angle. If you ask me, you can't hit a better angle than this because it's just natural to the finger, as you can get your knuckle to perfectly hit R2 and L2 without accidentally hitting L1 or R1. So to me, it's great in that regard. That said, they're definitely not the best controls ever, but top notch for a Game Boy style clone, as I mentioned. And so I have to give it a 54 out of 69. The controls are great, but the final and toughest question is always about value. So let's break down the price next. So it manages expectations. It's never going to try to be advertised as a device that can play PS2 or GameCube. It's a camping companion. It's a travel device. It's a desk time killer. For the price of a large pizza combo, you get a device that can play more games than you could ever on original hardware. So compared to the original hardware that you could buy today, it's of course a steal. And let's not even get me started on how much better of a value it is compared to a device like the portable Game Player 5 that I reviewed earlier this year that, well, was the closest thing I've seen to an instant waste of time that I've ever seen. So as long as you're managing your own expectations and you want a pure and simple retro machine, it delivers a fantastic value. That said, in my opinion, I have to give it a 56 out of 69 for value. So with all of the individual scores, where does it leave us? Let's put it all together for the final verdict. So here's a recap of the scores that I've given so far. For unboxing, I gave it a 38 because it's basic but effective protection with a curious Anbernic-like style box. For the internals, I gave it a 32 due to a dated but reliable chipset built for classics, not power. First impressions, I gave it a 52 because it surprisingly feels premium with great buttons and a simple interface to get you up and running right away. As far as ease of use goes, I gave it a 56 because it is offline only, which gives it simplicity and makes it incredibly easy to pick up and play right away. As far as customizability goes, I gave it a 60 due to a strong modding community both inside and outside because you have firmware options as well as theme options with the base OS. For controls, I gave it a 54 because you get a top tier D-pad that's hard to beat regardless of price point, honestly, and a comfortable layout that belays its lower price point that a lot of other devices seem to miss on. And for value, I gave it a 56 because it's an incredible package for the price, perfect for specific simple use cases. That said, that gives you the final score of 49 out of 69. The BatleXP G350 is a device that understands its purpose perfectly. It doesn't try to be a high-end emulation powerhouse. It focuses on delivering a premium feel and experience for a bargain bin price. That said, what are the top pros of the device? Well, I would say, again, for me, excellent control feel. You get an Anbernic tiered D-pad and buttons at a fraction of the cost. Plug and play simplicity. It's one of the easiest devices to just pick up and start playing within seconds. The strong customizability, again, that's my favorite category, so I have to give it a shout out here. It has great shell for modders with multiple firmware options for those that want to tailor their software experience as well. And again, and it's an absolutely incredible value. The performance and quality you get for around $40 US is almost unbelievable, if I'm being 100% honest. What about the top cons? Well, first you get dated internals. The RK3326 chip is a known quantity, but it's starting to show its age and has clear limits. The downward firing speaker, the audio quality is compromised due to its speaker placement. It'll never sound as good as it could have been if it was forward-facing. No built-in connectivity. The lack of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth make adding games and scraping box art a manual and tedious process, and definitely something that you should shy away from if you're not comfortable doing it. And again, the inline shoulder buttons. While they are well executed, they aren't as comfortable as stacked shoulder buttons for long playing sessions. But again, I have to bring it up because, again, I prefer stacked, so I'd have to consider inline to always be a bit of a miss. So who should consider this device? Well, if you're a first timer buying your first ever retro handheld, or you're a gift giver looking to give a gift to somebody either that hasn't played games in the last 30 years, but was just talking about how they would love to pick up and play Mario Brothers 3 again, or you're wanting to pick it up and see if you could really be interested in this hobby, this would be a great device for you. Also, the purist on a budget, someone who believes in having a great D-pad for those classic games and doesn't care about PS2 and below. You want to stick to PS1 and a little bit of PSP, but mostly want to focus on the 16-bit era and the 8-bit era. You're going to be in heaven with this device. Who should skip it? Well, the power emulation hunter. Someone who wants GameCube, PS2, or even Android games. You should probably skip it because this device won't be for you. And the connectivity lover. Someone who wants built-in Wi-Fi for that box art scraping and easy updates and all of those things. You should probably look for another device. That's my long way of saying, so back at the beginning, our opening question, can a $40 handheld actually feel premium? The answer is a resounding yes, but with a caveat. It feels premium for the price. The controls and build are fantastic for what it is, but you are absolutely making compromises on power and feature set for the price. If you go in with the right expectations, you'll be blown away with what you get for about $40. If my review of the BatleXP G350 helped you in any way, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more reviews every week. Let me know in the comments down below, what is your favorite ultra budget handheld under $50? And until next time, this has been P. Nick.